Several minutes of commercial-free football starts now. Here are the Purple Mortgage Guys.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Purple Mortgage Guys, coming to you on another Victory Monday after the big win yesterday against the Cardinals at US Bank Stadium. Vikings moved to 6-1 on the year. Another little bit of an up and down game, but come out on top. And squad moves to 6-1. So Goose, Tanner, interested to get your thoughts on the game yesterday, because I think we all thought it was going to be about a 10-point victory. They ended up winning by 8, but maybe how we got there was a little bit different than what we anticipated. So I'm going to start on this Halloween with the Cowboy. Tanner, what were your takes from the game yesterday?
I think the game played out for the most part how I thought it was going to. I can finally feel a little bit more excited about where we're at as a team. Obviously, a lot of these wins that we've had this year haven't been easy to come by any means, but we are 6-1, and that's not something that we as fans should be complaining about. We have a 4-game lead in our division right now, and that is a ton of breathing room when we're already at the halfway point of the season. We have some losses that we can afford to have now. Obviously, we want to stay in contention and try to get the 1 seed from the Eagles. But I just feel a lot better heading into the second half of the schedule when we got to face teams like Dallas and Buffalo coming up here. So,
yeah, I think I heard today we have the largest divisional lead by any front runner in the NFL. Like, none of the other divisions are this much of a gap so far. So that's encouraging, because we know we got some tough games coming up. Goose, you got the KOC look going today, the headset and all. So what did you see yesterday from the game?
Yeah, it's I can't tell if I'm just getting used to the style of football that they're playing, but when you see Hopkins' numbers or quarterback throwing for 300 plus yards, like it felt like our defense was really good yesterday, and I feel it's proving to work. You make a team really earn every drive, and they're going to make mistakes. And we put up 34 points, which is good. I think there's a lot left on the table for capitalizing on some of those turnovers, but I think overall it was a good team win. Special teams had another turnover. Would like Greg Joseph to kind of figure it out, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about. But overall, another win against a team that's maybe not super successful, but has a lot of talent on their roster, and excited to keep on moving on the win train.
Yeah, it feels like at the beginning of the year, the defense was getting maybe gashed and giving up the points, and now they're still giving up quite a few yards, which they talked about on the broadcast. Like, Donatel's not so worried about that, but they're getting those key turnovers, especially late, which it's almost like you have confidence that it's going to happen, and it's been happening too. So that's been fun. A lot we can get into here, and I think we're going to actually just go right into Rants and Raves, because otherwise we're going to end up hitting on the same topics, because there's a lot in this one. So we're going to start let's do Rants and Raves. Tanner, this is when you pick one thing that you liked and one thing that you didn't. And typically it's one of each. So let's give that a shot. And I'm gonna start with you, Goose, today. One thing that really concerned you about the game. What was it? Or maybe the team as a whole, even right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Greg Joseph. It seems like one of those things where you can miss a kick or two and bounce back, but once everyone starts talking about it, he's going to start to get interview questions about it. I think naturally you're going to see fans talking about who we could replace him with, moving on. Unless you're Justin Tucker, it just doesn't seem like kickers are built to really handle that constant second guessing, and you really need to be confident. I think if anyone can pull him out of it, it's going to be the Vikings' current staff and their positivity and culture, and I think they're going to get the team to rally around him. But we've all been here before. A lot of kickers in the league have had struggles. Mason Crosby a year ago was missing every kick. So I've got confidence he can pull himself out, but it's one of those things that seems to snowball, and I'm worried that it's going to snowball.
Yeah, that one, you get credit for a block, but he kicked it right into the guy's helmet. I know he probably needed a little extra somewhere to get it there from 56, but
Yeah,
that was not even close. And then that extra point, that game, if it's 9 points versus 8, is a totally different feel than what it ended up feeling like yesterday. So that was huge. Luckily, it didn't end up mattering. I feel like in years past, it would have ultimately went into overtime and we'd have lost and we'd have been pointing at that. But
yeah.
I could
and
not
that
have been.
snowballs at times 10. If you can win, if the defense has his back, rallies, makes a stop, I think that buys him a little bit more time to figure it out. But if we lose a game because of him, I think we're in a whole lot worse spot.
I could not have been further off when I said this would have been the Greg Joseph redemption game because that did not happen. Tanner, what do you got for us on a rant today, man?
Greg Joseph is definitely part of my rant, but Goose covered most of that already, I think, for me. I don't understand how kickers, that's the only thing that they practice all week is trying to make kicks. And the ones that he's missing this year are supposed to be gimmies, the extra points. It should be automatic every single time, unless that's blocked, unless there's a malfunction on the offensive line. There's no reason that he shouldn't be making these every single week. And we did have another scenario this week where it could have potentially cost us the game. I'm glad that it didn't. And we can try to move forward and try to stay positive with him. But Greg Joseph is definitely something to be concerned about, I think, going forward. But my other big one is my bold prediction guy that I ended up being completely wrong on, Danielle Hunter. Just non-existent this year. And I went back and rewatched the game again last night, and he's not even being double teamed. He's just non-existent. PFF seems to love him. He seems to be doing his job every single play, but he's just, when it comes to production, he's just not somebody that's putting up $20 million numbers. So I'm starting to think that if things don't change in the second half of the schedule, I don't know how he's back on the squad next year at that same cap number, and I doubt he's going to want to take a pay cut.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my rant. I'm starting to get a little concerned about D Hunt.
So we got Greg Joseph, Danielle Hunter. I'm going to actually go a little different direction and say, where's the down the field passing game? Seems like every team out there, you watched Josh Allen last night, he is just slinging that ball around 65 yards, whether they're connecting or not. Like, it opens everything up underneath. You can get some of those cheap PI calls. We got those in the first couple games. But it seems like, and it's hard to complain. They put up 34 points, but that seems to be the one part that's missing. So whether it's trading for another receiver or just taking those shots, that catch JJ had on the left sideline there, he was covered completely, but guess what? He came down with it. So I would like to see more of that and down the field. And it just feels like there's opportunities there where our guys got to step, and Cousins second guesses and maybe throws the short route or even the medium route. Again, it's nitpicking. We won, we scored 34, but I'd like to see more of that going forward. So
the trade deadline is quickly approaching. I just want to get your guys' thoughts. Do you think the team makes a trade for another receiver before the deadline?
I think they should.
Because there was like confirmed rumors last week from Dougie, who's probably the most well-respected, just like social media guy on Twitter for the Vikings. He confirmed last week that they were making calls around on receivers. He didn't specify who it was, but sounds like Brandon Cooks is in the mix. Obviously, I don't think they could afford him by any means. But
who's that?
Brandon Cooks. I don't think they could take on that contract. They'd have to dump some serious salary in order to do that. So
that's the name I heard. And then Judy and
Claypool
would be the other. So yeah, it feels like it's wide open. Like, you could be a 2 seed pretty easily, possibly even making a run at the 1 seed here if things fall our way. So it's the time to do it. But I don't know. I feel like a receiver's an area of need. Right guard is a concern. And then tight end too. I don't know what we do there. So
I'm gonna say no. I think we maybe add someone. I don't know that it'll be at wide receiver, and I could be wrong. Some of those names excite me. A guy like Brandon Cooks, who's a veteran and a speed guy, I think is exciting. I think if there's truly a chance to get someone like Jerry Jeudy, who I think just has had some tough breaks and was potentially, one or two in his draft class as far as talent, would be pretty crazy. Adam's only getting older. If you could partner JJ up with someone long term who's young, is good. Claypool kind of makes me nervous a little bit as far as personality, and it seems like some rifts there. But because one thing I think you can screw up by adding someone is someone that doesn't fit with the culture that we have in Minnesota. So
Chemistry,
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, one under the radar name I want to throw out there. It hasn't been mentioned yet. Just wouldn't surprise me if it did happen. Is Elijah Moore with the Jets has been he's made it clear that he's not happy there. He's had comments about Zach Wilson not throwing him the ball. So he clearly wants out of New York. He's making that known. I personally love Elijah Moore. I loved him coming out of college. I think he would add a pretty dynamic asset to our offense and take a lot of pressure off of JJ and Thielen. So I'd like to see that. My only concern with that is I don't know if that's a culture fit. If you have somebody that's super outspoken like that, not getting the football as much as he wants to. So got to be a team first guy if he's going to come into the locker room.
All right. What are our raves? We did win the game, right? I mean, we are 6-1. Should be pretty happy.
I feel like we're all going to be unanimous on this, but Goose, you go first.
I was going to suggest that I go last so I don't steal both of them, but I mean, I got to go Za'Darius. He's incredible. I think for his personality, his smile, seems like the guys love him. Kirk mentioned several times in his presser that you can just feel him. You can just feel his presence, and he's just all over the field. I think one thing with the way that we played yesterday, that maybe you have to give Daniil a little bit of a pass is Za'Darius was just right up the middle of the field the whole game. And I think that makes it more important that a guy like Daniil is contained and you let Z run wild. But he plays with an energy, and there's nothing bigger in a game than impacting the quarterback. I mean, on the interceptions, on everything, it's someone's in Kyler's face.
Is Za'Darius a candidate for defensive MVP?
He has to be at this point.
Yeah.
After yesterday with 3 sacks, there's no way he's not in the conversation.
Is that our friend to the south, number 11 in Dallas? Who's better? Who would you rather have on your team?
On your team going forward, long-term career,
no, this year,
you got to go Micah. But I think we've seen it firsthand when Za'Darius played for the Packers when he was in the backfield every play. Mm-hmm. There's been 3 or 4 games this year where he's made a stamp on the game, and I would never pick against Za'Darius right now. So give me Za'Darius.
So Za'Darius is better than Micah Parsons this year for our team.
Yes.
All right. Sounds like a headline right there.
Yeah.
Tanner, what do you got?
Yeah, my rave is Za'Darius Smith as well. What he's doing this year, I don't even want to think about where our defense would be right now without him on our team this year. Not just from a production standpoint and him wreaking havoc every single game, but from a leadership standpoint, because I feel like ever since 2017 passed and Everson Griffin had his personal issues come up, and there was a loss of production there as well as he started to get older. That's something this team has been missing for a really long time, is a leader that's vocal and somebody that everybody on the defense can rally behind and get the guys going. And I think that's exactly what Za'Darius is. He has, I can't think of a better free agent signing that the team has had in recent memory than Z. So I'm hoping he stays healthy. I feel like he's kind of had a few nicks here and there this year, but as long as he stays healthy, I think he'll keep our defense where they need to be in order to stay in games.
All I feel like we were all holding our breath yesterday when he went down. All of a sudden, the
Oh,
game
for
didn't
sure.
matter as much, and it was like, we can't afford that one.
Yeah.
That would be probably the worst injury to have on defense is if he's not on the field. So I'm going to go with the rave of Tanner's commitment to the part today with his Jared Allen look. I mean, I think he rode into work this morning on a horse. It was great. Looking good there. But I'm going to also go with KOC and the way the team responds when things need to be tweaked. Goose, you hit on this a couple weeks ago with the red zone, how we were struggling. Seemed like there was a commitment there. All of a sudden, it feels like that's buttoned up. Third quarter scoring, we had been awful. We were texting each other yesterday when the third quarter started. We scored 14 points, 2 touchdowns. Buffalo had 3, I believe, last night for perspective. So they don't score every time like that. But coming out, if we don't have a good third quarter yesterday, we probably get too far behind and can't catch back up. So I think that was good. The overall like play designs, little things like that pitch to Delvin yesterday when it was 3rd and inches, and it looked like CJ was going to come crashing through the middle, and they flipped it out to Delvin for a huge gain. Just the little things there that I feel like Zimmer and previous offense did not do. So
yeah,
I'm encouraged by that. Our bold predictions are absolutely awful, guys. So we're going to have to go back to the drawing board this week and try harder. We did each think about a 10-11 point win. They won by 8. But Daniil Hunter did not have 3 sacks. Asamoah did not have 6 tackles. And a non-quarterback did not throw a pass. So we were 0 for 3 there. We're going to come back, though, against Washington. I feel like we're going to be 2 for 3 or better. So we'll get
all right. Positivity.
I was shocked that Asamoah hardly saw the field.
He did on the last drive. I don't know if you saw that. They were spying Murray on the last drive.
Yeah.
They brought him in to spy.
Well, guys, that wraps us up for another edition of Purple Mortgage, guys, on this Halloween Monday. We'll come back again Friday, unless there's a big trade that maybe we want to jump on earlier. But otherwise, we'll talk again Friday before the Commanders. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you again soon.